Well, before we do too much more of anything, how about if you all stand up and let's just invite God to join us here. Father, we are so thankful and grateful. It's just an amazing, beautiful day, one of those days that you made for us to enjoy. And we're just so grateful. We're so thankful, Lord, that not only that you came to earth to save us and sacrificed your Son, but that you deposited this gift of music into our hearts, and then you enlisted us in your army, in your kingdom, to spread this good news to others. It's just an amazing, amazing fact that you love us that much, Father. So here we are, just like the servants and the talents, Lord. You put that gift inside us, but you didn't want us to just let it sit there. You challenged us to develop it and to open that gift and to use it. So, Father, that's why we're here. We want to perfect that gift, that language of music that you put inside us. So we ask you to hover over our conversation for this next hour. Produce this session, Lord. Be in our conversation. Let's make it a three-way conversation even after we say amen, Father. We ask you to be in every thought and every word and every concept we talk about here so that we can leave with a deeper, deeper knowledge, not only of music and the language of music, but of your ingenious, creative spirit that really is the source of all of it, Father. We love you. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, everybody, have a seat. So everybody always laughs at me for calling this Guerilla ear training. And what's up with that title? But honestly, I feel like this is probably the most important musical skill you could ever possibly have. I mean, the concepts that I'm going to lay out in this next hour is stuff that I use every single day of my life. And this is sort of like, this seminar starts at the very, very beginning, real simple, and develops to a fairly deep level. So the first thing I kind of want to do is take your temperature and find out where we are. So just raise your hands if you've had any kind of ear training before, like in high school or college. Yeah, quite a few, okay. How many people went to college for music? Okay, fair smattering. How many of you are keyboard people? Quite a few, okay, not necessary that you be, but it's just good for me to know. How many of you are music directors in your church setting? Okay, cool. So I'm hereby deputizing you to go out and teach this to your people. Steal any ideas that you like, claim them as your own. But part of what I think we need to do is we need to be students of music. We need to constantly be learning about it, but then we also have to be teachers to those around us that need to learn, right? So based on what you've said there, I'm going to pace the beginning of this pretty quickly. I'm going to roll pretty fast, and let's just do a quick check to see if everybody's arm works. So if you have a question about something, you're going to raise your hand, right? Yeah, okay, so those seem to be working okay. Now I'm going to be looking out there, and if I hit a concept that, put your arms out to the side and make it look like, yeah, okay, so if I see that, I'll know that I need to kind of slow down. But for starters, we're going to move pretty quick here. So first, just some simple questions. Why is this such a big deal? Really, this is the essence of music. Like, we think of music as a printed page, music as a chart or a hymn book, but the truth of the matter is music is sound, right? So if you can't identify the sounds you're hearing and instantly play that on your instrument, if you can't pick up a melody and write it out for a singer, if you can't hear the CD that your pastor wants to sing in 15 minutes when you walk out and write a quick chart of it, you're missing a big part of your musical skills. So that's really what this is all about. This is all about hearing the sound in the air and identifying it instantly and knowing how to write it, how to sing it to somebody else, how to chart it. So, I mean, that's why this is a big deal. Now, anybody in here have perfect pitch? All right. They say that perfect pitch is like 0.01% of the population, so bless you. Ah, okay. All right, all right. Well, that's good. Well, the truth of the matter is, I mean, it is a tiny percentage of people that actually have perfect pitch. But everybody, including all of you, have relative pitch. So really what we're talking about today is relative pitch, okay? So, as I say, everybody has it. Now, everybody has it to different degrees. We must have hurt her feelings, gosh. So it's really just a matter of developing your relative pitch. Now, the difference is perfect pitch means that she could walk in the room and go, A, 440, slightly sharp, you know, whereas I couldn't really do that myself. But if you told me this is C, and then you played, oh, I could tell you that was A. Because relative to C, once you give me a bass, then I can tell you where any pitch is. So that's really what we're working on today. So you don't need to have perfect pitch. Some people say perfect pitch actually drives them nuts in the practical musical world. But relative pitch is what we're talking about. Now the good news is, you already know a lot of this. It's just a matter of identifying what your ears already know. Okay? So we already said, why is this so important? Because music is sound. And we're going to do a lot of playing and identifying. The idea is, once you hear it, you know what it is, you can play it. It's going to make you better in everything. I already told you this. What did I say? 0.01% of people. So you don't really need to have perfect pitch. You just want to have great relative pitch. So what we're going to do is we're going to narrow it down. So you might think that the musical world is so complicated. The truth of the matter is, our system of Western music really just has 12 pitches, right? That's the same as, right? So we're just talking about 12 notes. So if we were to give a pop quiz right now in ear training, you have a 1 in 12 chance of guessing it right, with your fingers in your ears, right? Now, narrow it down some more. 95% of the music that we do has to do with the major scale. Now, the major scale is only 7 of those 12 notes. And 8 is the same as 1. So automatically, now we're down to 7 notes for 95% of the music that we do. So that means if you guessed, you'd have a 1 out of 7 chance of guessing it right, okay? So, and I said we're going to start at a very, very simple place. So for just a second, we're going to move our training session to the mountain peaks of the Alps. And you all remember the sound of music, right? When Fräulein Maria was running around singing, teaching the Von Trapp children how to sing Do, a deer, Do, Re, Mi. Basically, what that is a system called solfege. Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Ti, Do. Now, the basic gist you have to get is these are just different names for the same thing. So we could say Do, Re, Mi, just sing that. Now sing 1, 2, 3. Now sing C, D, E. That's just different names for the same thing. So when Fräulein Maria was singing Do, Re, Mi, she just as easily could have sang 1, 2, 3. Now, solfege isn't so much used in our daily walk. We typically use the letter names or the numbers. Now, we're going to focus a lot on the numbers because the good thing about the numbers, like Do, Re, Mi, is that you can move it anywhere. So in other words, if I told you we're going to sing this song in that key, which happens to be C, and I tell you to sing 1, 2, 3, you could all sing 1, 2, 3. Now sing 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. So what that means is, once you know the number relationships, it's called a movable Do system, because you could sing Do, Re, Mi starting anywhere, relative to anywhere. You can sing 1, 2, 3. Now, Nashville charts use strictly numbers. And what that means is if an alto comes in and says, wow, I can't really sing How Great Is Our God in C, I need to sing it down in A, your chart's still perfect because 1, 2, 3 in A is the same as 1, 2, 3 in C. So here's a little chart that just shows you basically 1, 2, 3, Do, Re, Mi, A, B, C. It's all the same. I'm going to ask God when I get to heaven why he didn't actually start the white keys major scale on A, But we'll leave that for later. Now, the scale degrees, we don't use that so much in contemporary Christian music. Tonic, dominant, subdominant, those are some other names you hear for the same thing. So, I'm ahead of my slides here, but you get the idea. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with Maria von Trapp. Now, you may say, oh, here's what it looks like for you keyboard people. Basically, the do, re, mi, the 1, 2, 3, those are the first 3 notes of those 7 white notes in the major scale. Now, we're going to start off with a pop quiz. Now, I may not be quite as cute as Maria von Trapp, but then you guys aren't quite as cute as the von Trapp children either. So. And maybe this isn't quite as beautiful as the Alps, but it's pretty beautiful today. So what we're going to do, I want you to take out a piece of paper, manuscript paper or just regular paper, right quick. And I'm just going to play those notes, and I want you to write down the sequence. Now, basically, you've got a 1 in 3 chance of getting this right? So I'm only going to play, and you just write down in order the notes that you hear, okay? Now, we're going to do numbers first. So just write down a 1 or a 2 or a 3 on a line straight out. Okay, ready? Pen in hand, here we go. First note. Next. Okay, now skip down and start a new line. Now remember, it doesn't have to start on 1, right? We're still in the key of, that's 1. So here's the second line. Next. Next. Ooh, this is going to be good training, huh? Okay, now check your chart against that and see how it looks. Does yours look just like that? Okay, everybody raise your hand if you scored 100%. Awesome. Okay, so that tells me we can roll fast. Okay, so we're good. Now let's do the same thing, but let's go to C, D, E, right? Okay, here's the first line. Do the same thing. Just write letter names, C or D or E. We're in the key of C. Here we go. Next. Next. Okay. Check just the top line, top 2 lines. Just the top two lines. Did you get it? Yes. How many people got it? Not quite 100%. Okay. But you get the idea, right? So you pretty much got those first 3 notes pretty well down. Can anybody identify what that song is? Okay. The thing you find is, the thing I want to charge you to walk away and start doing is you need to start doing this ear training thing every minute of every day. Like as you're walking around, as you listen to the radio, as you're listening to this girl sing, as you're listening to the pitch of the air conditioning in the room that you're in. It's all around you all the time. And that's how you really get the skill rolling. Okay? I'm going to jump ahead a little bit here. Now, we're going to do a quick detour. Well, we're going to skip over this, but basically, let's do it really quick. I'm going to play a note, start on C, and then I'm going to play a second note, and you sing that note, and you either sing the word up or down. So basically what we're trying to do is identify where the melody is going, if it's going up or down. So when I sing C, let's all sing home. And then if I sing this, you're going to sing. Okay, now we're not gonna do home anymore. Now we're just gonna do up, down. And I'm not gonna go to C every time, okay? So we're gonna start here. So all you sing is sing the pitch and sing up or down. Sing a little shorter. Let's start here, ready? Relative to the last pitch. So if we're here and I play this, great. Okay, you got the idea. All right. Okay, now we're going to do a quick detour and talk about how to identify key centers. Now, because it's relative pitch, one of the first things you have to establish if your pastor comes and, I heard this song at this conference, I've got it on my phone, I want to play it in 5 minutes. Here it is, check it out. The first thing you have to do is be really good at identifying the key center. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play, just quickly, I'm going to play a couple of songs that you know and a phrase or two, and I want you to sing, let's just sing home for the key center. Now, you know what I mean for the key center? So right now, everything we've been doing is in the key of C. So regardless of what note is in the melody, the home is, yeah, let's just sing home. So let's try this. So sing home. Great. Okay, how about... Sing home. Sing home. That's it. Okay. Yeah, the melody's not always going to end up on home. A lot of times it does. A lot of times the last chord is the home chord, but not all the time, right? Let's try this. Sing home. Great. Okay, you have the idea. So just get really used to the idea of, as you're listening to the radio, as you're driving in your car, nailing what the home key center is. That's a big deal. I'm going to jump over just a bit. Work with me. Okay, now one of the ways I do this key center thing is it's a great idea to have what I call a personal pitch reference. Now right now, for these exercises, I'm always playing you a pitch to be relative to, right? Because we're talking about relative pitch. So I'm giving you C, and then I'm asking you. But when you're driving in your car, and you're driving to rehearsal, and you're trying to figure out this new song, so when you get there, you can play it, how do you know what key it's in? So there's a couple of things that I do, which I would encourage you to get your own personal pitch reference. Only because I end up doing this on the way to rehearsal a lot. Laugh if you want, but it's like whatever works. I know that if I undo my seatbelt while I'm driving, it chimes a D. And it's a perfectly in-tune D. So relative to that, I can tell the home key of the song that I'm listening to. A 60-cycle hum from an amplifier on stage is just about a B note is another way. Another thing is just, I know when I wake up in the morning, about the lowest note I can sing is an F. And, that's not quite a perfect system, but, I can get really, really close just by, knowing where that F is, and then I can tell. So what you need to do for yourself is get a personal pitch reference. Now, the other thing that I have, there's like free apps that you can buy for your phone that have like a little piano keyboard. And, if you don't like the idea of undoing your seatbelt while you're driving, it's probably not the best idea. You can, of course, it's probably not good to do your phone either, I guess, but this is going out all over the internet. There's probably a cop waiting for me right outside. But you know what I'm saying? Get a personal pitch reference that you can have all the time so that you've got a basis to start on these skills. Okay, so what we're going to do, now that we've got do, re, mi, 1, 2, 3, we're just going to start adding notes to our vocabulary of pitches that we can recognize. So far we've done 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to add 5, the pitch 5. So do, re, mi, fa, sol. Now the reason we're skipping 4 will become clear to you in a moment. So right now we're jumping to 5. Now you can see where that sits in the scheme of things here. We're skipping over 4. Now let's just quickly look at some songs. We just did Open the Eyes of My Heart. Let's sing that song, but let's sing these numbers. So we're in the key of C. We're going to do just about everything in the key of C. So that's home. So Open the Eyes starts on. So let's just sing numbers kind of slow. 3, 5, 5. Oh, sorry. Once again. 3, 5, 3. Okay, let's do the Star Spangled Banner. Okay, interesting point here. That pitch is 1, or it's also 8, right? You know, you tend to call it 8 only because it's the octave above 1, but you get the fact that once you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, it all starts over again. So once you know 1 through 7, you also know, right? It just repeats. So kind of the same way for, let's skip down to Hey Jude. Ready, and. You could say 9898 or 2121, and you would both be correct. Okay. Another favorite is, I can't remember now. What's Close Encounters? Do you know the numbers? Okay, here's C. Now it starts on 2. Sing it. Sing numbers. Pretty good, pretty good. Okay, that's the idea. See, so aliens also use this system, right? Talk about the universal language of God. Even Spielberg's aliens get this. So that's what it looks like on the keyboard. And real quickly, let's do another pop quiz. So get your paper back out. So now the options are 1, 2, 3, or also 5. Here it comes. Don't count that one. That was just for registering home. Here we go. First pitch. This is good for you. Okay, just the top line. Do you look like that? How many? Yeah, okay, we're doing pretty good. So I trust that you would also, just about 100% of you would nail the letters too, right? Okay. So we're going to skip on over these so we can get to the good stuff. These are all my favorite songs, though. Skipping over the free CD. I'll tell you what, I have a mandate from God and from my wife that all of our products after we finish here are on the honor system, which means if you just won the lottery, you should probably pay the suggested price. If you just lost $100 buying lottery tickets, pretty much all these products are sort of free for you to take. So honestly, I really want everybody to have this stuff. So if you can't afford to pay for it, I still want you to take it. So you don't have to worry about missing the free CD thing, basically. Okay, now just really quickly, just because it's Christmas, let's think of O Come All Ye Faithful. Now, what we've been doing so far, we've been starting with C1, kind of at the bottom of things, right? But sometimes that's not the case. Let's take O Come All Ye Faithful, which starts on 1, but starts by going down. Now, it's still one of the pitches you know, but can you identify what that is that you just jump down to? So here's 1. What is this? Right, it's 5 an octave below. So really quickly, let's just do our number system on O Come All Ye Faithful. So just write down numbers. Just don't double it. Okay, sing those pitches. Numbers. Right. So the idea is, don't be thrown off when you get to a melody that sort of is centered on 1 versus with 1 at the bottom. Just don't let that trip you up. Okay. Now another quick detour, and then we're going to add another note. Basically, when you jump, now most of what we're doing has been kind of stepwise motion, you know, just one step right next to the other. But when the melody jumps, basically that's called an interval. And this is sort of a guide to identifying intervals. Now, these are just tunes that I like to use for myself. You might have some other little melodies that help, but basically, the simple way to identify a major second is just what we did. Do, re, mi. Those are all intervals of a second. Basically, walking up by a step is an interval of a second. Or Charlie Brown, or whatever you like. Hey Jude is a major third. 1, 3. Right? Perfect fourth, I like these. Or even better probably is, which is basically 1, walk up to 4, walk down to 1, right? Now, some people always like to do the wedding march for the interval of a fourth. Why is that not good? The reason it's not good is because is an interval of a fourth, that's true, but it's not starting on the home base. In other words, all of these intervals start on 1 and then walk to the 4 of the key, for instance, or walk to the 3rd of the key, walk to the 5th of the key. The wedding march is actually what numbers? 5, 1, 1, 1. So it doesn't actually start on 1. So a lot of people get confused when you throw that out there. Perfect fifth, I kind of like, right? Perfect fifth. Anchors away is a perfect 6. That's the, or a major 6. That's the note that we're going to do next, which is, again, the old My Bonnie Lies Over the Ocean is confusing because it doesn't even have a 1 in it. So I like Anchors Away. Now the major 7th, actually, I'm not sure that PBS uses this logo anymore. They used to just use, another one that comes to mind is Color My World, just as I played them, by Chicago. Come on, guys, help me out here. You're just pretending you don't know Color My World. But another good one for major 7th is Somewhere Over the Rainbow, or the same pitches is Bali High, or Somewhere Over. So what both of those are doing is they're basically going from 1 up to 1, or 1 up to 8, and then showing you that the major 7th is right there. So that's actually the interval of the major 7th right there. Okay, and obviously the octave is just the note before that. Yes, sir?
Why is it called perfect fourth?
Oh, that is a brilliant question. Why is it called a perfect fourth and not a major fourth? I'll be doing a seminar on that in about 20 minutes. It really goes way back into music theory. Why that is, it's sort of too complex to explain. But it is explained in, I don't know if I put it out. There's a language of music DVD on that stand there that explains it. It's one of those things that I love for all of us to really understand the depths of music, but it's one of those things that you kind of don't necessarily need to know in terms of what we're going to do Sunday in contemporary Christian music. But it is kind of goes back to theory like from 200 years ago, back before they actually had the well-tempered clavichord, you know, the tempered scale that we use today. So that's an after-class question, but it's a great question, though. Okay. Now, another note before we add the next, another topic. Lots of times, like if you're in a rehearsal and somebody says, you know, could you sing the fifth there? Or if you're teaching that rehearsal and you say, you know, altos, can you sing the fifth? You have to clarify, are you talking about the fifth of the key? Or are you talking about the fifth of the chord at that moment? You know what I'm saying? So lots of times that's a source of confusion. So again, because this is relative pitch, you got to identify what you're talking about relative to. So sometimes you might have to say, no, I'm talking about the fifth of the key, not the fifth of that chord at that moment. Make sense? Okay, so now we're going to add the next note, which is the note 6. Okay, so really quickly sing these and sing the numbers. We talked about anchors away. Just sing those numbers. Ready? 1. All right. I know you can read the numbers. Okay. Let's sing Open the Eyes of My Heart. Let's do the chorus. So, bum, 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 high. So we're going to start here. 1, 3, 5, 5, 5, 5. Come on with me. 6, 6, 6, 5, 5, 5, 6, 5, 3, 3, 2. We're kind of losing our 100% ranking here. Okay, let's do Heart of Worship. Ready? Start on 5. Or my favorite. I heard some psychologists say that that is actually the most like innate melody in human existence is the. Now, this is what it looks like based on that chart. Now, for those of you that are already tracking with me, basically what we have now is the notes of a pentatonic scale. Pentatonic meaning 5 tones, right? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. Which makes me think of, what's the TV show that... yeah, right, Archie Bunker, yeah. So basically, there's lots of melodies that use that pentatonic scale. Old Lang Syne, for instance. Amazing Grace, for instance. Open the Eyes of My Heart. The entire song melody is nothing but that pentatonic scale. Now, we said that a major scale is 7 notes, and we're almost on our way to get to all 7 of those notes. Basically, a pentatonic scale is 5 of the notes without what I call the 2 hot notes. So in other words, with a pentatonic scale, we've got the full major scale except for which notes? 4 and 7, which are unique ones. So you guys are rocking, so let's just do a really quick, there's what it looks like on the keyboard. Let's do a really quick scribble down quiz using the numbers and featuring the 6. Okay, you set? Here we go. Write it down. Okay, down to the next line. Don't laugh. Okay, does your sheet look like that? Kind of. Let me see hands. How many percent? Ooh, we're sliding a little bit. Okay. Anybody know who wrote that last song? I think it is attributed to Mozart. That's true. Which goes to show that not that many people could sing the opening of the Magic Flute, but I bet everybody could sing that one. So, okay, so we're gonna skip on down. But you get what we're doing. So now we're within 2 notes of pretty much identifying anything that has a melody that's in a major scale, right? Which is 95% of the songs that you're probably going to sing on Sunday morning, right? So what you need to do is sort of take this simple stuff and take that chart of intervals and start transferring it into songs that you hear. And as you're learning a new song, rather than sit there and plonk it out on the piano, force yourself to use your brain and just figure out where it is. Okay, so now that you guys are rocking on pentatonic, just because it's Christmas, let's do this. Now, when we're thinking of using it for Sunday morning type thing, basically a bass line is just like a melody in the lower register, right? So really quickly, let's do another exercise. Let's take Silent Night, for instance. Okay, so we're going to do 2 lines. First of all, just track the melody of Silent Night with numbers. So here's the key of C. So here's Silent Night. So write numbers. Okay, just those 4. Now, okay, write that twice. So right next to it. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play some chords underneath it, and I want you to write the bass note underneath the chord when the bass note changes, underneath the melody note. See what I mean? So now what you're writing is below your melody, you're writing the bass line. Make sense? So you get what I'm saying? So what you're really doing is you're charting out that song by ear. Let me do that again. Identify your bass note. Check and be sure you got it right. Yeah. Okay. Let me try to make it a little bit simpler. So I'm playing the bass note in front of the melody here, right? So basically think about it just like the exercise that we were doing. So I'll play the bass note really loud and the other. So this is 1, right? We're thinking bass line now. So just remember or how about right? Okay, you're here. Now you're just walking down a tiny step. Okay, so read me your baseline numbers. Just go ahead and read them out loud. 6, yeah. Okay, so this is a little bit foggier, but you get the idea. A baseline melody is just like a melody in the lower register. So every time I sit down to chart a song by ear, the first thing I'm doing, actually, I aim for the bass note before I aim for the melody. Because the bass note is 90% of the time also the name of the chord that exists. Now in this one, I did some inversions, so the bass note isn't always the chord, but maybe 85–90% of the time it is the name of the chord. So you just need to transfer your melody skills down to that bass register, right? Okay? Now, in fairness, we did introduce a number that we haven't talked about so far. Yeah, come on, Tom. Gee. So we hadn't talked about the 4 yet. Now, the reason we saved the 4 and the 7, the reason I say these are hot notes, basically they're hot notes because everything we've done so far is sort of like a whole tone apart. 4 and 7 are where the half steps are in the key. Now you say, what's the difference between a whole step and a half step? Basically, you can see right there. A whole step skips over a black key on the keyboard, right? Between 3 and 4, you notice there is no black key. That's why that's a half step. And the distance between 7 and 8, there is no black key there. So that's a half step. Now 4 and 7 are the hot notes because they involve the half step in the scale. Let's just look at some songs now that we're going to add the note 4. You guys all know this song? Sing Here I Am to Worship. Well, let's sing numbers. Ready? 4, 3, 3, 2. Now sing Here I Am. Numbers. Right. Now let's try this one. Sing numbers. Let's go. Yes! Good job. Okay, now here's a really good one that kind of focuses on that half step. You know Brenton's ba-da-da-da, right? Everlasting God. Oh, wait, I skipped down. Okay, yeah. So let's just do. Let's just sing numbers. Everlasting God. That phrase repeats. So you can hear the 4 and the half step next to the 3. Another great one, you know, come now is the time to worship, sits right on that 4-3 half step relationship. So comes 3, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 4, sits right next to 3. You see what I mean? Now, the other way to find 4, as I said, is like, or actually, I sort of like better the Lean on Me, that walks up to 4 and then walks back to 1. Now, the reason I kind of like that is sometimes when you're dealing with intervals, you know, we started off kind of doing just stepwise motion, but when you're talking about intervals, sometimes if it's a wide interval and your brain didn't exactly click it, sometimes just walking the scale up in between is a good way to get there. So if you're listening to a song that happens to start like, and you go, too big a jump. One way to get there is just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the walking in between thing is like fair game. It's sort of like, you know, nothing to say you can't use counting on your fingers in a math test. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I sort of like the walking up like that. So you can see we're really close to having the entire major scale nailed. Now, you guys cool? Do we need to pop quiz you here, or are you good to go? Okay. Let's do it. Here we go. Ready to write? There's C major. It hasn't moved. Here's the quiz. We're going to go a little faster. Here we go. Don't get ahead of me. Okay, just the top line. How'd you do? We're getting better now. We're back to improving. Okay, so yeah, this is sort of what I talked about. Don't be afraid to use the, sing the scale in between thing. Now, again, you might want to develop your own, but you really need to get these in mind. Because do you get the idea? We're like one note away from identifying every note in the major scale. So what that means is when you hear, how great is our God, or a hymn, or whatever it is, you've already got a personality of each of those notes, and you've identified by a real simple melody that you know you can repeat. So it's just a matter of association. Make sense? Let's go ahead and add the seventh note, and then we're going to have everything. Now, a lot of times, like in my Somewhere Over the Rainbow example, the easiest way to find 7 is not always starting from below. Sometimes it's starting from above. Like in the first example, Shout to the Lord, basically it just sits there and shows you that half-step difference between, let's call it 8 because it's an octave below 1. 8, 8, 7, 8. Right? Shout to the Lord, right? Eight, 8, 7, 8. Another one which you guys probably know, right? Sing with me, Happy Birthday. My birthday was a week ago, so. My daughter's birthday is today, though. And every day for the past 10 years, she's like hating Bruce, Adolph, and Matt Keys because I've missed her birthday for the last 10 years. To be with you guys. Let's sing happy birthday to Gab. Ready? 5, 5. There you go. Now sing Gab. I don't know if she's watching the live stream, but if she is, that would be really cool. She better be in school today. Okay, how about, now here's another good one, since it's Christmas. Let's sing Joy to the World with numbers. Ready? No, start on 8, because we're starting up high. Ready? Right? It's just a major scale walking down. Another good one, you know the hymn, A Mighty Fortress? Let's sing that starting on 8. Mighty Fortress. 8, 8, 8. Let's keep going. Yes. Nice job. Okay, so you get the idea. Now you've identified and you've got a personality for all 7 notes of the major scale, right? Now the trick is just like fine-tuning your skills. So these little pop quizzes that we're doing, these exist like almost like 24/7 in your life. In other words, if we got quiet for a minute, we could analyze what that gal is singing. Now, I would need to establish a relative pitch to get what key she's in. I mean, you get the idea. We're doing everything in C, right? Because it's the simplest. It's all the white keys. But relatively speaking, the number system we're using is identical for just about everything you're going to hear. Maybe we'll come back and skip over because I've got some more kind of identifying the bass notes, chart writing stuff. It seemed like it might have been a little bit of stumbling block, so we'll jump. Because you would have a fair right to say, what about the other 5 notes? So we've identified the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the major scale, but there are 5 notes left, right? And here's pretty much the way to look at those. In C major, the white keys are the major scale, so obviously the black keys are notes that are outside of C major. Now that's not to say that we don't use them in the key of C major, but when you do use them, you're definitely kind of going out of the close family. Now these days, in a lot of contemporary Christian songs, you could pretty much stay on the white keys with the 1 chord, the 4 chord, the 5 chord, and the minor 6 chord, and play a whole bunch of the Christian contemporary rock songs today. But you do run into these 5 black notes occasionally, and when you do, every time you hear one, it's definitely a whoa, that's outside of the family kind of sound to it, right? So really quickly, I'm going to go through and sort of give you an identifier for those. So the first one, we're going to jump to E flat. Now, E flat would be the lower version of E. Now, we're talking on the key of C, so what I'm talking about is 3 flat, right? So its basic personality is the fact that it takes the major triad and makes it minor, right? Now, when I'm trying to teach people theory in my language and music course, and I'm trying to teach them to identify the difference between major and major, everybody thinks of this as the theme from 2001, right? It's actually by Richard Strauss. That's your tutorial on major and minor right there. Major to minor, minor to major. Now that difference is entirely that black key, that hot note. It's the note in the key that turns the major tonic triad to minor. So that's sort of the personality where you hear that. Now, you know, I have to refer to my favorite Far Side cartoon where the piano player and the banjo player are playing along, you know, and in comes the black Bart, and the piano player turns and says, "Quick, Willie, minor key," you know. Basically, in our brains, minor is like bad guy. I mean, just think of, you know, back to Star Wars or versus another classic example of major and minor. So that's basically what that hot note does. Now, another hot note is C sharp. Now, getting louder now. We go to, what time do we go to? 11:15. 11:15, okay, so we need to be wrapping up. Okay, so just really quickly, C sharp is the half step above C, the tonic. What that does is it's basically featured in what's called a secondary dominant. Now, a secondary dominant, in simple talk to your church band terms, is basically a chord that pulls really strongly to a particular destination. So there's secondary dominants all over. Let's just think of "A Mighty Fortress Is Our God." Now, if I were to raise that C to a C sharp, it would sound like this. So both versions work, but the one with the C sharp, that secondary dominant, just pulls you there stronger. So you can identify that sound. Now, F sharp, the personality of that black key, so this is the sharp version of 4. Now you realize, of course, all these have double names, so it's also the flatted version of 5. It's the black key between 4 and 5. This one is sort of like the futuristic, you know, if you think of the Jetsons. It's what makes the Jetsons different from "Oh, When the Saints Come Marching In." Or my other favorite is, right? So what makes that sound unique is that particular black key. It's the sharp 4. Another place, you know, in classical music, pretty much our brains sort of identify that with all things futuristic. The next outsider is G sharp, which again is one of those secondary dominants. What that does is it pulls you really strongly to the minor. Think of this. Think of the end of "Shout to the Lord." Versus that's the G sharp difference. So you hear the difference that it makes. It's one of those secondary dominants that pulls really strongly. That particular one pulls to A minor. Now, a real favorite of mine, I'm moving fast because we got to wrap here, is the last one is B flat. Now what that is the flatted version of 7. Now the fun thing about this, if you guys know Revelation song, listen to it without the B flat. There's the chord built on the flat 7. Okay, so you can see whenever you do use those notes, the black keys, the ones that are outside of the major scale, it always has a startling effect. So, anyway, we're skipping over a bunch of stuff, but you get the idea. That's pretty much, oh, I do have one more thing for you. Come on. First one to shout it out. Come on. Ta-da! All right. Great. So, you know, we've been skipping all over the place. Here's what you can do. As soon as I get back home, there's an older version up there already, but you could basically download this entire presentation from our website. And you do have to give me a couple of days. As soon as I get back, I always kind of update these every time I do one. So give me a few days to upload the newest version. And you can download this. You can look at all the slides we skipped. Plus, I would really encourage you to do this same deal with your group, with your worship team. And, you know, become a teacher. And as I said, completely take credit for it yourself. Tell them that God woke me up in the middle of the night last night and gave me all these slides. And I'll put my email there. You can email me with any questions you have. And honest to goodnessly, I really do want everybody to take a bunch of this product. If you can't, these are the suggested prices, but as I say, if you can pay for it, that's great. If you can't, I still want you to take it. I would love for everybody to get a copy. There's 3 Christmas albums here that have a couple of great arrangements that you guys can use. The DVDs, you're welcome to take those. I've got more copies of this stuff here. Hymns of Peace is some great hymn arrangements. And like I say, if you can pay for them, please do. If you can't, please take one anyway. Okay? Any other questions about anything? You can always email me if you don't have time now. So you guys good? Your ears are all trained? God bless you all. Thanks.